Well, guys, we got another little clip coming from the utterly worthless whitewash that is our
pandemic
inquiry. This, as you all know, is not there to find the truth or how they might do things better, but instead is them trying to justify lockdowns and scapegoat a few Tory scumbags in the process. This is why most people have ignored it, because it's essentially the state investigating itself and finding it did nothing wrong and that it should do it all again, which, let's be honest, is always the case. And this is actually proven here as Rishi Sunak points out something very important when it comes to any justification for what they did, which naturally then sees the inquiry lawyer expose his own stupidity or maybe his orders to steer the inquiry away from any real info.
But also, I think analysis has been done subsequent to this that I wasn't aware of at the time from, I think, professors of medicine and economics at Imperial in Manchester that applied a Quayle analysis to the first lockdown and its duration. And their Quayle analysis, which you'll be familiar with as a tool of health, public health analysis, suggested that the lockdown in its severity and duration is likely to have generated costs that are greater than the likely benefit. Well, so I think I wasn't aware of that at the time.
I'm so sorry.
I think
I don't want to get into quality life assurance models.
Yes, that's the inquiry lawyer, Hugo Keith KC, shutting down a witness giving testimony that's relevant to the inquiry while exposing the fact he had no idea what Rishi Sunak was even talking about. This was in reference to the term QALY, which for all who don't know is quality adjusted life years, not life assurance models or whatever that pont said. That there suggests the lawyer knows sweet fuck all about the subject itself and instead is there to steer the inquiry in towards saying we need more lockdowns and anything that went wrong was all Boris Johnson and his government's fault. Of course it is the government's fault, but there are other things involved outside of a few scumbags, and this inquiry's doing its best to cover up that fact that literally all they did caused more harm than bloody good. This is what Rishi Sunak was trying to point out in his evidence there before the tosspot lawyer shut him down, and let's be honest, using pure bullshit to do it. I mean, this quality analysis is literally what the NHS uses to decide on treatment priority and has done for countless decades until now, well until 2020 should I say. Then they moved to a new system of screwing over the young to protect the old, going against every medical precedent you can bloody imagine. Of course, though, it's got to be said that the fact there was a report out in August 2020 showing that lockdowns did more harm than good, as Rishi Sunak mentioned, should see people arrested. And more so since politicians continued to push all of it for what, another 2 years after that report apparently came out. That there should be a massive story in and of itself, but instead it will be forgotten about by all except us, because the media, like this inquiry's there to cover asses, not expose the truth, is it? Shit, the media are as much to blame for what happened as the politicians are, so they'll never expose any of it, you can be sure. This'll end up being one of the greatest cover-ups in history to go along with literally all the others. But the findings from the inquiry will likely be used as the reason why we should cede our health policy to the WHO's pandemic treaty bollocks, which will be ready next year.
pandemic.
Where